Hello, my name is Suresh Maran, and I am the founder of the Untitled Project. I am here to talk about my experience in United States. As you may know, I have released a series of videos introducing myself, explaining my experience from school, college, and I discuss the significance of those experiences to the entire humanity. And also, I explain what are the solutions that United States platform is offering to solve those solutions. Now, in this video, I am going to talk about my experience in United States. After finishing my college in India, I went to US to pursue my education in PhD. While I was in US, I lived there for 8 years, in which most of the time was spent in Pittsburgh doing my PhD in physics. Now, originally, I'm always interested in physics, fundamental physics, all the way from high school. But here in India, you have only two options when you finish your higher secondary: either go into engineering or medicine. Then you are considered as successful. If not, then you are a failure. Try other professions, and if you can't get into those, try business. So that's the setup in most parts of India. Okay, so I went into engineering, and then when I went to US, I switched back to physics. I thought engineering will be a stepping stone from going from engineering to going back to physics. All right. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the town of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a very beautiful town. It's located in the state of Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh has many important universities: the University of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon University, Duquesne University, and nearby there are many other universities. So the town is a well-educated town with lots of international students. So it's a good place to go live and learn and work. I choose Pittsburgh because of the presence of this university environment, which gives you options in technology, like in Carnegie Mellon, or options in science, like in my department, the physics department. Okay, let me tell a little bit about the state of Pennsylvania, where I went to study. Pennsylvania is a state in which Pittsburgh is located, and Pennsylvania is a state in which the Constitution of the United States was finalized and signed. Pennsylvania is the state in which the US President Joe Biden is from. Pennsylvania is the state in which Elon Musk got his degree. Pennsylvania is a state in which Kathleen Calico, one of the pioneers of modern RNA vaccine, went to work and worked before she started worked. Okay. So Pennsylvania is a state in which I studied for last about 7 years. I lived in the Pittsburgh is in southwestern part of Pennsylvania, and those people lived in the northeastern part of Pennsylvania. So they are a little bit culturally different. Northeastern part is more liberal, southwestern part is more conservative area. So it's a little, there's a difference in people there, but Pittsburgh has done a very good job of me offering the education that I wanted. So this is introduction to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and what did I do in US. Okay. Now I am going to explain part by part the experience while I did my PhD. The first 3 years, next 3 years, finalizing PhD. Each part is very different phase. Okay. So let me start with the first 3 years. All right, let me start my experience in while I was doing my PhD in the first 3 years in US. I got used to the food. I got used to learning about where things are in the town. I slowly got used to the language. So many things changed during the first 3 years. But the most important thing that happened to me was overcoming depression. Like I told you, in India, during the school times, I got repeatedly assaulted, discouraged. Every time I expressed something creative, I got discouraged. So ultimately, that led to depression, severe depression. So it started somewhere during 1991, during the end of my high school. Now all the way continued my to the first years in US. But luckily, the three things happened. One, Pittsburgh had a very good counseling center. I went there. They taught me to overcome pessimism about myself, negative thoughts about myself, negative thoughts about failure, negative thoughts about not being adequate, the repetitive pessimism. That they helped me overcome, and they helped me to interact with people without fear, open up, learn to socialize. So that was a very good success. Most importantly, Kevin Bursley, the counselor at the University of Pittsburgh, did an excellent job helped me overcoming these pessimistic and negative thought patterns, and I have to thank him for this. This is the best thing ever happened to me in my life. I thought I was completely finished. But overcoming depression brought me back to life, because without feeling excitement, without feeling happiness, you can't do anything, no matter how gifted you are, how talented you are. So, but this is only one part, counseling. The second part is, in US you have equitable treatment between the professors, the teachers, and the students. They equally respect each other and equally formally respect. It's not like they put their shoulders, hands on their shoulders and just jump around. That's not the thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about serious respect for each other as a human being, to their feelings. Okay, and most importantly, I met this professor, Martin Vincent. He is my quantum mechanics professor, and one day I forgot my notebook in his office after talking about some problem. Then he took the note and all the way came to my student office and gave it to me and went back. And that was surprising, and that was the beginning of an excellent relationship, a mentor-student relationship. I regularly talk to him every day. I never stopped talking, and he had to remind me to stop talking, and he was afraid even to interpret when I'm talking. So that's the importance that he put in listening to me. That listening helped me to understand that I'm actually can think, I can have ideas. And he asked me questions, and he noticed that I often repeat things. Okay, so he suggested me that don't keep repeating the same thing again and again, don't keep thinking about the same thing again and again, try something new, solve this problem, move forward. So he is a very critical part of my transformation. Okay, so that's the beginning of who I am as a scientist. So in India, I had friends, all of them call me scientist, always encouraging me, but the educational environment was not rewarding creativity, actually doing the opposite. But in US, because of him and others, once again I became motivated and I saw purpose in my life. Now, almost everything I did, I'm going to do and doing the last 15 years relates to what I was discussing with him, either physics or relationships, or whatever international issues or business or anything. It all started in discussions with him. So this is Professor Martin Vincent. I need to thank him for that. He's now a retired professor in the Department of Physics at Pittsburgh. Okay, so this is second thing that helped you overcome a depression. The third thing is, in Pittsburgh there is this Carnegie Maran University, but there is It's a big university. There is Carnegie Library. Carnegie Library, which is adjacent to that, is an excellent library. I go there, and they had a shelf full of science fiction movies. Star Trek, a lot of Star Trek, all the series of Star Trek series was there. And every week I watched one or two of those serials. Okay. And watching those is good motivation that human beings dreaming about going to other parts of the universe, galaxies, trying new things, new form of relationships, new way to do things, new people, new culture. It gave me an explorative instinct and confidence, to imagine and dream that humanity can have there is excitement in thinking about the future that humanity can advance. Okay, all these three factors: the counseling, the professor, interaction, the science fiction movies, all of them brought me back from a depression and gave me a purpose in my life. If not for these things, probably I might be, I don't know how to explain the other alternative life without this. So I have to thank US and US educational system for this. It's the best thing ever happened to me in US. Okay. After that, anything bad or good happened was miscellaneous. Okay. So US is the best place to learn and educate. US is the best country for when it comes to education. So I totally saw that. Okay, as I explained. All right. So this is the first thing happened in US. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the next one. Let me go into the next 3 years in physics. Next 3 years while I was doing PhD in physics, okay, at University of Pittsburgh. So when I was at Pittsburgh, I was taking classes both from University of Pittsburgh and also from Carnegie Mellon University, which is nearby. So I was learning stuff from there and stuff on here. So many events, like even social events, were happening in both universities. So sometimes Carnegie Mellon University has ballroom dance club, and I go there regularly. So basically, it's almost as if I'm attending classes at both universities. So there I saw no boundary at all. If I want, I can always work with people, professors there also. So it's pretty open. Now, after the first 3 years, slowly I was transitioning from a grad student to a scientist. Okay, so while I was interacting with Martin Vincent, Professor Martin Vincent, I came up with an idea. So I'm not going to tell what the idea is right now, but it's actually in the interaction with him, the idea sprang up. So he was asking questions, even he gave a name, what I should call. So I was constantly thinking about it, and even I was going to make it as my PhD thesis. So it was going very well. So I was very excited that look, I came to United States. They turns out me now. I'm really going to be the scientist people that I wanted to be, and people were expecting to do in my life. All right. So that was going very well. Now this idea needed something much deeper understanding of time. All right. So I didn't have anyone that who can help with me nearby in Pittsburgh. So I wrote to a professor who used to work in Pittsburgh, okay, in our department. And I wrote to him and told him that I have a new idea I'm working on, and he said, "All right, write it to me." And I wrote it to him. He never replied back. 1 year later, he published it. I thought I'm writing rubbish ideas to him. I thought he didn't respond because I was boring him, but he made two papers out of it and about hundreds of references are made to that paper. Precisely, if you look at the papers, you will know that our idea is that those topics, the headlines itself, abstract, all relate to what I wrote to him. I was totally freaked out. The first 3 years in US, I as a transformation scientist is gone. That was heartbreaking. So but I did not think about it seriously at all, because if I start thinking about it seriously, then I'm gonna feel depressed and I might get back the depression. So I avoided it. Okay, so I actually understood the pain of that only after finishing my PhD. I came back home, I started contemplating the events during my PhD. So I totally avoided it. Okay. Okay, let us continue discussing the third part of my PhD at University of Pittsburgh Physics Department. So the third year, I have to choose a problem and solve the problem and submit a thesis. Okay, so I need to pick a research area first. So the area I chose was quantum gravity. Quantum gravity is one of the most challenging problem in physics. It involves combining two different conceptual frameworks. One is general relativity, other one is quantum mechanics. These are two different theories with two different mathematics and two different conceptual frameworks of looking at the world, and both of them work at completely different scales. Quantum mechanics explains phenomena at atomic scale and more than that, and general relativity deals with physics of large scale objects like planets, solar systems, galaxies, or the entire universe. Bringing together is highly challenging. It's not yet performed. We don't have a theory that unites these two. So that's the problem of quantum gravity. I chose this because this tackling such problem is a natural continuation of what I have been doing in my high school. As I told you before, by around 11th grade, I basically know all the theories and concepts in physics. So the natural continuation is to work on advancing the concepts in physics, that is, bringing various concepts together and getting deeper understanding. But like I told you, because of lack of encouragement, because of the depression I got because of it, this natural progression was stopped. Okay, so it started with 10 years and I am regaining back the continuation. So quantum gravity is a natural continuation of my life from 11th grade, for what I know based on my skills and talents and everything. So I started continuing to study it. All right, I started preparing to research in this area. Quantum gravity is highly mathematical because it uses every mathematics ever invented. It's highly theoretical. You need to learn all the theory in physics, pretty much almost. Conceptual, that is, you need to understand the concepts, all the concepts in physics, because you need to put together these concepts into one single conceptual framework. So it's highly challenging. So I was busy reading, getting to know all the stuff, exploring all the ideas available. So I was supervised by George Porling. He's a mathematician from the Pitt Math Department, University of Pittsburgh Math Department. He's a highly talented mathematician. every week we meet and we discuss various ideas, whatever I have learned, and he listens very carefully and gives me feedback, helps me with mathematics. So it's very fruitful relationship that continued for at least 3 or 4 years throughout my PhD program. And George Sparling originally was a student of Roger Penrose, the Nobel laureate who received Nobel Prize recently. And so, for many reasons, Roger Penrose was like my grand advisor because many of my work I did in my PhD relates to him, relates to Roger Penrose's work. For example, in the quantum gravity research I did, it involved what's called spin network. It was originally discovered by Roger Penrose long time ago. And my work recently on consciousness and other things is pursued by Roger Penrose himself. So I have to relate many of the research work that I have been doing for after I finish my PhD relates to various things Roger Penrose has been doing and pursuing. So I lovingly remember him as considering him as my grand advisor. Even though I have not interacted with him directly for very much, I met him in London before I left for India. Cambridge before I left for India, and also I met him at our own department at Pittsburgh several times. But for some reasons, I would consider him as my grand advisor also. Now, the thing is, this entire thing is very challenging, and so the first 3 years in my department, after coming to the department, was lost in overcoming depression. And the second part, the second 3 years, it got stolen. My idea over somebody, he published it, so it's gone. So almost 4 years is gone. Now I am preparing for research in a very difficult area, so it was taking too much time, and the department was getting restless. My graduate coordinator, department chairman, they were like pressurizing me, find a problem and solve it soon. So I went to the department chairman and I told him, you see, this is a very complicated problem. I may not have enough time. And I also, this pressure, constant interference in my research, I'm not able to think clearly. But department chairman told me, you have 1 year to finish my research, otherwise we will send you away. So he gave a clear-cut warning. So I said yes, and I came back. But this quantum gravity research, it's not just an academic program, it's something very fundamental. So any advance, any breakthrough that I can make will fundamentally change the life on this planet. You never know. A lot of good things will come out of it. All right? Every time there's a fundamental breakthrough in physics, our life gets altered. All the modern technology that you have here is because of breakthrough in quantum mechanics. Right? So quantum gravity might take us humanity further, right? So this is much more serious. This shouldn't be considered as a simple academic problem as a part of an exam that a department does. It's like a requirement that a guy does, a graduate student does. It's much more serious than that. So I decided that I didn't take this issue to the chancellor of the university itself, who is the most powerful person. And also the university has given me 10 years to finish my PhD. But the department is trying to cut me off in 6 years. So I decided to go and meet the university chancellor. It's Chancellor Nuremberg, right? So I made an appointment with the secretary or assistant, I don't know, of the chancellor, that I want to meet him. I had a progress of my research, right? A couple of days later, she replied back, called me back and said, look, the chancellor is really busy with meeting many people, so it's difficult to meet you. So I decided maybe the chancellor is doing things that are much more serious than what I'm doing. So I gave up. So I'm also really tired of living in the same town for last 7 years or 6 years. So I also decided the time for a change of pace, change of environment. I can't keep living in this town, same people, same climate, same roads. So it's kind of tiring. So I decided, okay, I will do something and I will quit, move on. So I took a problem, I published a research paper, submitted my thesis, summarized whatever small piece of work I have done, and put them into one single thesis, submitted it, got my PhD, and left. And left and went to New Orleans to live with my brother. So that's the end of my PhD program. So to summarize, the first 3 years is about overcoming depression. The next 3 years is about working a new idea and losing it and learning a very valuable lesson. Then the other 3 years is about doing my PhD. Doing a research problem, getting my thesis. Now these three years are overlapping with each other. So it's total 7 years actually. Alright, so this what I talked about here is largely of academic in nature, research oriented, but there is something else also going on in the background of these things. Alright, so I will talk about this in next.